Alison, I'd like to finish our conversation with your story of arrest for...
not arrest.
Sorry, not arrest. You were visited by the police 1 year ago for a social media post from 2 years ago.
Yes, correct.
And there's some developments, I believe, in this story, but perhaps you can just tell me again, I haven't actually heard it from you, what it was that happened.
Yeah, it was a year ago on Remembrance Sunday. For American viewers, that's Memorial Day. And I was getting ready with my black clothes and my poppy to go to the parade in our town, which goes to the little war memorial. And there was a knock on the door, and it was two police officers who said that I had caused offence to someone on social media, and they were coming to warn me about this. And I said, okay, what was it that I tweeted? Twitter is the social media that I do. The officer said, oh, we're not allowed to tell you that, madam. And then I said, oh, okay, so who is my accuser? And he said, we're not allowed to tell you that either, but it's not the accuser, it's the victim. So immediately you got the snapshot of what you're dealing with, which is the accuser. We have a system, you'll be familiar with it, Winston, in our country, of innocent until proven guilty. But the non-crime hate incident overturns that to, because that's the victim. And
wow.
Yes, wow. It was, although it was awful, it was very, very upsetting. It's very useful, because I think when a journalist has a bad thing happen to them that happens to other people, so there are 30 people a day in the UK who are arrested for speech.
For social media posts.
For social media posts, but for rude, unpleasant, uncouth speech, okay? Which we believe people should be allowed to, within, apart from directly inciting violence against a specific individual. So that happened to me. I was very lucky. I know Toby Young, Lord Young of the Free Speech Union, and I was able to text him, and he said, right, we'll swing into action, which they did. They provided me with a solicitor, and the Telegraph, my newspaper, was absolutely brilliant. They immediately started campaigning on my behalf against Essex Police, revealing, of course, that the police are very, very bad at actual crimes that people would like to be solved. Burglaries, theft, violence against the person, all very, very bad at that, but increasingly good at hate crime. And a police officer came forward as my source, who's a wonderful guy. And he said they're obsessed with hate crime. And he says we're coming back to our far centrists again, Winston. They want to impose utopian values on society. So the idea of most people have of police as enforcing law and order, that's now not really what's going on. They have, they police for things called protected characteristics. So that could be ethnicity, sexuality, trans, whatever. So they've got a hierarchy of people they will police for. And by the way, Jews are not a protected characteristic, even though the Jews did their best to be the most persecuted people of the 20th century, didn't they? But they don't make the cut. So,
oh, really? So they're not...
Israelis are seen as white supremacists.
Yeah, but sorry, now you're moving. That's not actually an official...
Jews are not seen. So my tweet, that was the offensive tweet, we think was...
We still don't know.
No. Well, they haven't admitted to it, no. So, I posted a tweet. I thought it was police in London with, a bunch of Islamists, arms around them, celebrating something. And I was quite incensed by that.
This was shortly after October 7th, right?
Shortly after October the 7th.
Most of this, even before Israel had responded, there was celebrations in the street.
It looked like the police snuggling up to, and I said, why are the police cuddling up to the Jew haters, right? Now, it turned out that it wasn't the Met. Someone told me quite quickly on Twitter, it's not the Metropolitan Police. I think it was Greater Manchester Police. So I took it down because obviously I was factually inaccurate. Of no way would I resile from the sentiment, which actually was quite prophetic, I think, saying that the two-tier policing, that was before we really knew how the hate marches would go and so on. It was quite interesting that so the police visited me apparently over that tweet calling out Jew hatred, but a Jewish woman got in touch with me and said she had drawn Essex Police's attention to a tweet by someone who's quite famously anti-Semitic, and it basically said, why not attack Jewish schools, right? So that was more inciting than mine. And the lady got the reply from Essex Police, yeah, we're sorry you were upset, but it was written in the heat of the moment, so no harm done.
Yeah.
So attacks.
Immediately think of Lucy Connolly getting 31 months.
Certain people's incitement, mine, you get a visit from the police. But so very definitely two-tier justice. But I have had a year to find out more about these thought crimes. And I know the word Orwellian, Winston, is overused, but it is Orwellian. The more you protest you didn't intend hatred, the worse it gets for you. It's absolutely extraordinary. And I think what people don't understand is my victim, can, he or she, they don't have to know me. You could be in a pub having a chat with a friend, and someone walking past you could hear you saying something they didn't like, and they could report you for that private conversation, which I find astonishing, really chilling. And we've had examples of a 9-year-old boy in a playground shouting, smelly, fishy, retard, getting a non-crime hate incident.
Yes, correct.
Really, absolutely mind-blowingly. Again, they seem farcical, but they're not funny, are they? Because they're an attempt, again, as we see with the asylum system, as we see with the BBC, an attempt to control people's thinking, to only allow certain kinds of speech and thought that are deemed to be acceptable.
Yeah. There's been 250,000 non-crime hate incidents bookings since 2019, I believe.
Yeah.
Might have been a bit early. Maybe it was 2014, but
I think it's 2014.
2014.
Yes.
So everything from a school child saying another school child smelled like fish to another school child got booked for scuffing a Quran in the school corridor. It's absolute insanity. But I wanted to just understand, because having followed your story a little bit, although never hearing it from you, what I'd understood is that you'd posted a flag from Pakistan. It was people in Manchester holding a flag from Pakistan. And I think it had been a political flag from Pakistan that you'd misidentified as being some sort of Islamist flag. Is that incorrect? Or are you saying that you still don't fully know what the offending tweet was?
I don't fully know, but I believe that picture, that the men in the picture were members of a group who don't think Israel should exist.
Right.
So I wasn't particularly far out by calling them Jew haters, I don't think.
Okay.
But I guess the point is somebody, literally it could be someone who, with a grievance or a grudge, and the police don't have to question my accuser. That seems to me astonishing.
Yeah.
Not say, have you got any motive for, do you not like centre-right blondes who write for the Telegraph? I mean, it's to me, it's astonishing that their motive, they just have to say they experienced hate. And I heard from lots of police officers actually who they despise this stuff, some of them. And this lady had been a senior police officer, and she said she decided to leave. She said a woman rang up, a black lady rang up and said she wanted to report this woman because she'd taken the last bunch of daffodils in the supermarket, and the police officer said, "Yes, what was wrong with that, madam?" And it was a white woman who'd taken the daffodils, and then she said, "But I wanted them." And actually, it's quite interesting. Another police source said, "Look," he said, "in my day, your case would have come in." He said, "I've told my sergeant, bin it," right? But he said that was when we were allowed discretion. And now anything which has got the word race or racist in it has to be taken terribly seriously, even if it's, "But I wanted those daffodils."
Thanks for watching this clip from The Winston Marshall Show. You can click here to watch the full episode, and for more clips like this one, don't forget to subscribe. And as always, be well.